Hello and welcome to Fender Play Live. I'm Eugene Edwards, your host for the day, and today we have a special guest who's counting down some of his favorite guitar riffs and that you can learn on Fender Play. So the riffs you hear are available on the site. That's key. That's key. We know there's tons of other riffs. We get it. But we're being site-specific today. And we're going to show you these riffs in action. We're going to break them down a little bit and talk about maybe why they rock so well and how you can start playing them today. We'll have some tips for you beginners as well. Now, helping us with today's topic is our return guest and a fantastic instructor to whom you have access on the site, Mr. Jon MacLennan. Jon, say hello, sir.
What's up, Fender family? Great to see you.
That's right. It is a family. Well done. And thank you for joining us, Uncle Jon. We also have, and of course, we have the family doctor, Dr. Dylan Caligiuri.
Hello, it's wonderful to be here. I'm fantastic. Yes.
Thank you for joining us, Dylan. Now, Jon is a guitarist who's played with Blues Traveler, Julian Lennon, and Steven Tyler, and he's taught millions of people on YouTube, and he's also one of our instructors. You guys are lucky to have him. He's a great teacher. I love the way you present things, Jon, with a great clarity, great patience, and you're a tremendous player, as we know, and everyone's going to hear you playing some really cool stuff today, some really cool licks. Now, let's talk about the gear. Jon, you go first. I think I've seen this guitar before, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so this is my Fender Tele. Love this guitar so much. It's my go-to. You're right. You have seen it on the show. I am going to break out another guitar as well a little later. This is a 3-tone Sunburst, just pretty standard setup, you know, just 2 pickups, and it's just such a versatile guitar. I play this guitar every day, and I love it so much. It sounds incredible on so many different styles, and here's a little bit of blues on it. Here's what it sounds like. I've got a distortion pedal, and then also a little bit of reverb going through a 67 Fender Bassman, so Fender through and through
Nice.
tone. Next time, I'm going to mix it up. I'll use a different amp. I've got another Fender Princeton that I love as well.
And I think we sorry to interrupt, but I think we've heard your super reverb as well, right? On the show?
I don't have a super reverb, but I've got a, you know, it's just so many great Fender pieces of gear that I use all the time. So here's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
We got a full on solo out of that demo. Way to go, Jon. Sounds fantastic. And Dylan, what do you have?
Oh, well, yeah. So I'm playing a player strat. This is Tobacco Burst. Of course, no tobacco plants were harmed in the making this guitar. Okay. And you can see it's humbucker single. It's because I needed a humbucker today. You guys will see why later on. And it's got a modern C neck, so it's you can get around on this guitar pretty easy. And what's really cool about this guitar is it's super affordable. It's the player strat, right? But also it's this thing plays like a beast. You can hurt yourself.
Oh dear.
That's it.
Okay, well, careful with that axe there, buddy. Careful with the axe.
Okay.
And what I have here today, I have the Mod Shop Tele Deluxe 2 humbuckers, of course, because I too need humbuckers today. And in this finish is called Silver Burst for those of you keeping score at home. And it had this maple fretboard which looks kind of toasted to me. And this is out of the California plant, and this also plays really well. I feel like I can really hit this guitar pretty hard because sometimes I'm a pretty heavy-handed player. Digging it. And then that amp set, I'm going through the GTX, and I'll talk about the tone I have set up a little later. So let's get on with it now. Jon's going to walk us through his 5 favorite electric riffs that are on Fender Play. And if you have any questions about them, drop them in the comments. Fair warning, These riffs are not for the faint of heart, but for you beginners out there, don't worry. We're going to show you the skills and tips that get you started on riffs like these. So and then we'll get you towards mastering this stuff in time. Everybody, make sure you check out the links for the detailed lessons on everything that you're hearing today. And also, in the comment section, let's just get it going, guys. Let us know like I'm going to play one of the first riffs I ever learned later on in the episode. Tell us what your first riff was. Meanwhile, John's going to get it going with, I think, some Clapton, right? With some Cream?
Exactly, Eugene. And that's what's so great about riffs is, for me, when I first started, that was the first thing that I learned how to play was just a little riff. And they're just so fun to play, and it just can get you started. So we're going to start off here with a classic riff. I'll play it for you first, and then we'll talk about it. Here's what it sounds like. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
That always works. That always works. And it's funny, watching you play it and listening to you play it and the way you stack that, there's things about that riff, which Lord knows I've heard plenty and played plenty, and I think, I never noticed it, or I never really thought about what it does. So let's talk about this riff, John. What makes this one special?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many cool things we can talk about with this. Just right off the bat, we've got a blues-based chord progression, and that's kind of going to be a theme through a lot of these riffs, is being familiar with your 12-bar blues. And if you've never played a 12-bar blues before, there's some great lessons on Play that you can just search in there for a 12-bar blues, but this follows that common chord structure, and it's all based out of basically like an A chord shape here to start. It's really just 3 chords, what we call the 1, 4, and 5 in the key of A, and you've got this cool riff. And I'm thinking of that as being based out of just your A chord, which a lot of us play with just one finger, just kind of barring that down. So I'm visualizing that shape in my mind, and then I'm playing this riff, which is just, the open 5th string, and then going to the 3rd string on the 2nd fret, and then a little blues bend down here. So you've got that blues feeling in there where you're just pulling the note kind of a little out of tune. And that's such a great sound. Now, oftentimes you'll see people play it here in the 5th position, but I think it's best, and I think it was originally done just in the 2nd position here, and then you can stack it, like perhaps that's what Eugene was talking about, where you get a little
major third harmony. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So you have this note, that's sort of like your core riff, and then you could build on that and play like a harmony. I like to think of this like singers would sing.
Yes.
So if one person's going, then another singer might go, right, and do a little higher, it's a third above, so you mix those in. But then that, of course, is just tying back to your basic A chord, right? So I'm thinking about all these things, and you can stack these riffs and just have so much fun exploring that. And I like to start off just with one, and then now I'm building on that. So you can start kind of making your riff have just a little bit of a shape to it. So it's not just like, I mean, sometimes it's great, which we're going to talk about, repeating a lick just over and over, right? But I like to always be trying to make the music move and have the energy flow.
Now, I don't know if you're being modest, but you talked about how on the site we have a lesson in the 12-bar form. I don't know if you know, you teach it.
Oh, yeah.
You may not remember filming it, but I think it's you.
Yeah, well, the blues is something that you just, as a guitar player, I think it's so important to learn, and it might not be something that's just predominantly like on the radio as far as like super popular, but elements of it are in everything, and so having that foundation and being able to have that feeling and stuff is just going to help you as a guitar player when you're learning songs. And all of a sudden, when you know the 12-bar blues and then you dive into a riff like that, it just like you start getting it faster. It's not like you're starting from zero every time.
it gives you orientation, and that's really key to this. Let's move on to the next riff. You have another classic blues rock riff, and then we'll talk to, and then Dylan's going to tell us about some things on the site that are going to get us started on these two riffs. So let's hear another one.
Yeah. So this riff, I'm going to switch guitars for this one.
Oh, okay.
And
so Dylan, while John's switching, actually, regarding the Crossroads riff, what are some fundamental things for the beginner that can get them started towards this lick?
Yeah, the two big ones are going to be the A minor pentatonic scale, and we've got a whole course on how to play that in multiple positions. And then the chords A, E, and D, and there's a course on playing those three chords together as well. So having those two skill sets, when you're walking in and trying to play that riff, you're going to walk in prepared, and it won't be so intimidating.
Good call.
So,
Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dylan. Okay, so and now we have a new guitar, actually, we need to hear demonstrated. Or at least just tell us about it, and then you'll demo it when you play the riff, I suppose.
Yeah, so this is a 60s reissue Strat. It's about 15 years old. I love this guitar. It's got, I'm not sure what the pick guard, they call that green tea or avocado toast or something. But, but you know.
Oh, man, you're making Dylan and I hungry now.
Exactly. So it's just got such a great kind of just, I think of course, you know, Hendrix and all these players that played Strats. And this guitar, rosewood fretboard. Now, I did something a little bit different with this one. I tuned it down a half step. So this is a really cool sound to experiment with. And I like to just have one Strat that's like tuned down a half step all the time for playing these kinds of riffs. So here's what it sounds like.
Excellent. It's funky. It's groovy. Dylan, what do you think of that lick?
Mary had a little lamb.
Oh, look, he's going to start singing, and he's going to do a Sammy Davis Jr.
Sorry about that. Sammy,
apparently,
Sammy comes out every now and then.
Okay, so now how did this? When you went through the riffs on the site? Why did this one jump out to you, John?
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan is just he every time I hear his music, it just hits home with me, and so this has that tuned down thing. So one of the things that's so great about that sound is I'm playing an E chord. Basically what I did was tune each string down one half step. So instead of E, A, D, G, B, E, it's E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, E flat. So it's just lowering everything. And, you know, in a trio situation, you can get a really full sound. When you think about like Stevie Ray Vaughan playing with Double Trouble, it was like guitar, bass, and drums. So being tuned down when you hit that E, it's just a little throatier. It's a little like lower kind of tone to it. And again, it's based off that 12-bar blues, but we're in the key of E this time. So following that same form, but Stevie just had so many incredible guitar techniques that he would combine in those parts. So when you start working on it, it just does so much for your playing. I mean, we could go bar by bar and break down that riff, and it's just gold. You know, whether it's this bass line or the fills as you go from one chord to the next, like that are blending all these elements together, or the turnaround licks, which he did this really awesome thing where he would take his, so he's playing with a pick, right? And then you use another finger to just pop certain notes. And so when he's playing like a turnaround lick, like, you can hear that note just kind of jumps out. So if I played it with a pick, it would sound like this. It's great. It sounds cool, but you know, so what I'm doing is
there's more snap to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
In fact, it was. I mean, it was so heavy when you did it. Your webcam just fainted.
Just,
yeah, I thought that was a subliminal message.
Hey,
I wasn't
you know,
sure.
We're live here, so.
You defied the technology. Now I want to now first of all shout out to Michael Burrell in the comment section because he got my careful with that Axe Eugene reference, an old Pink Floyd reference. Michael, you don't win gear for that one, but you won my heart.
He got his heart.
And we've got a couple of first riffs from the comments. We've got let's see, we have Lomara. Her first riff was "Smoke on the Water." Same thing for Landon. "Smoke on the Water." You got this one. I thought you were going to go into it. Dylan's going to go into it. Watch.
I mean, that's like a quintessential. That's a must do.
Oh, it's fantastic.
That's a mandatory.
Or even the
Barry
one string, right?
You can do the one string version.
I'm in E flat.
That one carried me through junior high, through the entire junior high period.
Exactly. First riff right there.
Bob's first riff was "Back in Black." Barry H, his was "Substitute" by The Who. That's a
Wow.
That's a great one. Joel Marksberry, his first riff was "Come As You Are." We played that last week for the Nevermind episode. And Leonardo, his first was "Message in a Bottle." Leonardo, was it really your first riff? Your first? Okay, we're gonna get to Sam Andy Summers today, actually. So it's funny you mentioned that. Now, one thing that jumps out about "Mary Had a Little Lamb" to me, like you're saying, he's covering so much, but it's almost like there's a call and response with like the bass line, and then what I think of as like a little horn section, right? Sorry, I'm out of position.
Exactly.
Like on those higher strings, it kind of has that back and forth. It reminds me of by the Meters, right? Sissy Strut has that same thing. You're playing those lower three strings, then you hop up to the top three strings, and you kind of have your own orchestra, your own band going on, all in one 6-string riff. I think those are really magical riffs.
Totally.
We're going to, great question from Jason O. How important is it to learn riffs compared to learning full songs? John, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, so a riff is a great way to start. You know, you can like learn this memorable thing that you're playing and you know, you're hanging out and your friends are like, "Oh, we know that song." And you're like, "Yes, that's so cool. That's such a great feeling." You know, and then I remember, you know, being younger and I'd learn a riff and then, you know, it was like, okay, well, what about the whole thing, you know? And so that's what you want to do, ideally, you know, is learn the whole song or come up with a way of playing the riff and then just playing the chords through the song. It doesn't have to be the whole thing note for note, but it's important to do both.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. There's you do both. So let's go to the third riff because actually one of our previous questions kind of got us there, and then you've got that Sunburst Telly. It's rather appropriate for this next one, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so I switched back to this guitar, turned on a little bit of a chorus effect, and just a little bit of reverb and a little delay. Now this is a tough riff. It's one of those songs kind of sounds like, oh, you know, it doesn't sound too hard, and you play it, the chords are pretty tough, but it's such a cool riff. Here's what it sounds like.
It's a beautiful one. Yeah. So Every Breath You Take, which is on the site, John, what's magical about this riff to you?
Yeah, well, it showcases one of the things that Andy Summers would use all the time in his guitar playing, and that's like add 9 chords. So if you know like a major bar chord, and maybe start this higher up the neck, you know, maybe start like up here on C, yeah, and then what you do is you move your pinky up a whole step.
On the D string.
On the D string. So your pinky's on, you know, if I'm playing a C chord here, this would be the 10th fret of the 4th string. And then just bring it up a whole step, which is 2 frets. And now your basic major chord sounds like this. Now here's the add 9. Now he would use that chord shape all the time, like if we think about, right? That's, you hear this all over the Police records. And so that's the add 9. Now you could do the same thing on a minor chord by just removing your middle finger. and now you've got a minor 9.
That's really pretty.
Really, this chord progression is just a standard, like we call it a 1, 6, 4, 5 chord progression.
Classic doo-wop, classic 50s ballad sort of stuff, that 1, 6 minor, 4, 5 thing, but he has a twist on it.
Exactly, yeah, making those chords add 9s, and then using a technique, which you can learn about on Play, arpeggio picking. So instead of just strumming the chord like this, now I'm going, and I'm picking notes out of the chord to create like this cool riff. And so many great riffs, right, were created with this concept of arpeggio picking, right? You know, or here in that tune. So, you know, if these chord shapes, if you go on the site, you know, and you're working on this, and I mean, this is a tough guitar part. So what I would recommend doing is just try it higher up the neck. You know, as you move up the neck, the frets get closer together.
That's right. No, it's a heck of a spread.
Yeah.
Especially on the F sharp minor chord, because I think he reaches back. Yeah,
right, exactly. So I wouldn't hold down the chord shape like that. I'm kind of doing this thing where I'm moving my finger, and
he does that.
Yeah, and you'll see him live. Exactly. Sometimes you'll see him live in A, which is up a half step. So like you wouldn't quite be going as low as like
right. Yeah. Funny, I know it wasn't intended because he came up with this idea on the spot when they recorded it, but since the song is basically about someone who's stalking another person, I always thought it sounded like someone's tiptoeing.
Right.
It's like this guy just creeping around. Okay, so Dylan, it's your turn to play a riff. It's your corner now. Go for it, buddy.
All right. Well, hey, so you know what? I'm going to pick a riff that I did learn at a very young age. It moves in a different direction. So be ready. Here we go. Yeah, that's right. So this riff, it's pretty tricky, but I'll break it down for you guys and try to make it easier. So listen up first. So it's the riff from Cowboys from Hell by Pantera. That's right. And it's on the site. You guys should definitely check it out. It's broken down pretty well. And if you listen to the riff, it sounds like something is inherently malcontented in it, right? So if you hear,
sure, there's a malice.
It lays the groundwork for his whole solos. So the whole thing, sorry, okay, I just wanted to honor the script there. So anyways, basically the idea here is this is actually from the blues scale, believe it or not. And the blues scale, funny enough, goes really well with the 12-bar blues form. Hence so basically the idea here is when you're listening to this riff, that's the blues note in the key of E. We've got this B flat here. So you end up with this kind of almost like bluesy, or in the case of Dimebag Darrell, who's the guitarist for Pantera, a Western swing style sort of sound.
What would it sound like if you played it as a Western swing?
As a Western swing?
Yeah.
I think it would sound something similar to that.
Okay. So he could have been in a big band. He was that good. So thank you for that one. So blues notes, blues scales, some palm muting. John, what's your next riff? I think you've got some. Howlin' Wolf for us.
Yeah, this is a great one on the site. Of course, the blues legend Howlin' Wolf, and it's a song called "Smokestack Lightning." Here's the riff. Let me turn off the chorus pedal.
Sure.
Here we go. So this actually uses the sound that we heard in Mary Had a Little Lamb. If you think about this, Stevie would get this chord, which this is an incredible chord. It's tough to play, but what you do is you take an E chord, just your good old E, and you take your pinky and you bar the 3rd fret on the 2nd and 1st strings. And what you do is you get this. really dissonant, like dominant 7 sharp 9. Some people call it the Jimi Hendrix chord.
Right, exactly.
Has that sound to it, and really it's the sound of this song, Smokestack Lightning. And so what you've got is that low E going, and you know, a lot of people play this in different ways. It's a blues riff basically, but I keep that low E going, and then I get, it's like the part of that, it's the part of that dominant 7 sharp 9 chord. So, and then this is just like that little riff right there. Like if you want to sound like a blues player, like all you need is a couple notes right there.
That's it. Well, it's funny you notice, because on the Howlin' Wolf record, Smokestack Lightning, this is the whole record. They don't go to a 4 chord or a 5 chord. It just stays the chord. So if you get this lick down, first of all, you learn a fundamental part of all of blues rock, frankly. And also, you learn the whole tune. You got all of Howlin' Wolf Smokestack Lightning, just like Hubert Sumlin played it on the record. Real quick, we've got a couple more audience first riff mentions here. John in the Facebook community, Black Dog. Wow, that's impressive, John. Although Keith Means, a longtime play friend, Sunshine of Your Love. Greg, his first was Seven Nation Army, and there's been a couple of mentions of Walk This Way. That's a great riff, which started as like a funk riff, basically. And James, his first was House of the Rising Sun. James, you're not alone. That was a first position riff for a lot of people. My first one, and then we're going to get to John's last riff of the day, just an honorable mention, was something that we have on the site as well, and it's this. That was Burnin' For You by Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah.
Love that one. You can learn that on the site. What's really great about that is it's all in the top 3 strings in one position. Really helped me learn my hammer-ons and pull-offs. And while I learned those techniques, I also felt like I was learning a riff that went to a song that I'd heard on the radio. So that's a great one to learn for you beginners, because it's easy to reach for, pardon the preposition, and it kind of gets you in the spirit of a tune. Let's go to your last riff of the day before we get to the homework, John. And we got a special kind of homework too, by the way, everyone. So stay tuned. John, go for it.
All right, here we go.
That one, so now we did a whole episode on that tune earlier this year. It's Jumpin' Jack Flash by the Stones. It's on the site. And what's your take on that riff? Like, what jumps out to you about that one, John?
Yeah, well, there's so many great things we can learn from looking at Keith Richards' guitar playing. And, of course, you know, there's, again, a number of ways of playing this song, whether you want to do like an open tuning, or what I'm doing right now is just in standard tuning.
Sure.
But it's a great riff to play, I think, in standard tuning, because you're just combining some power chords here like this. And then you go to kind of a pentatonic kind of, and then a little double stop. So right there you have like some core elements of rock guitar. You've got power chords, you've got a little pentatonic riff, some double stops, and then I love these little like flurry strums that Keith Richards would do, like, you know, and what it is just a real quick down, up, down, down, up, down, you know, down, down, it's like 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. It's like the last 2 16th notes, and then right on the beat. And so, you know, if you play anything, like let's just say you knew a couple chords, right? You know, like D, A, and G or something, and you do that with them, like you pick up a guitar, electric guitar, you've got some distortion, and you go... You know, it immediately kind of sounds like a rock sound right away. I've got the distortion, I've got the Fender guitar, you know.
Very Pete Townsend comes to mind.
Totally.
Usually first position chords with great tone and just a little syncopation or a little, some windmill action.
Exactly.
Dylan's going to make it gratuitous. He's just
It's not like a Mick Flurry strum, though, because that's completely different. It's
okay.
It's when you get your dessert too close.
Okay. Well, it's funny. I'm glad you played a Keith riff, because Jose Badillo is asking, like, I only know some basic chords, and how easy is it to learn riffs? Well, If I may make a suggestion, go to the site and learn the riff to Satisfaction by the Stones. Just 3 notes, all in one string. Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
See, you get that, Jose, and you're in business, buddy. That's a riff. I mean, like you're saying, sometimes a riff is simply some chords being strummed in a particular pattern. So it is easy to get into riffs, Jose. That's the takeaway. And for you acoustic players, make sure you keep your eyes peeled because we're doing our favorite acoustic riffs in the near future. An episode of acoustic riffs. So that's going to be awfully, awfully cool. Let's move on to the homework. And now we're not going to do our normal situation. What we're going to ask you to do is just go on we want to challenge you to practice up a riff from the site, from Fender Play, and then record yourself playing it in the community. Make sure you use the hashtag homework. And that way people can find it. Maybe you'll find yourself on a future episode. I don't know. I'm not promising. I'm just saying it's possible. We have the technology. Now it's time. I'm going to turn things over to Dylan, because it's time for him to start giving some stuff away.
Yeah. Wow, man. This has been fantastic. Like these riffs can really launch you into a whole new section of playing. And I love the idea of the effervescence with which Jon played all of them. So
yes.
Excellent work, sir. So before I get going on the giveaway, the Fender Play giveaway, which happens every week, I want to give a huge shout out to a fantastic Fender Play user, Randy C., who won just a couple weeks ago. And he posted the guitar. Oh, there he is. There he is right there.
Right.
So, Randy, you can't see his socks. He wore amazing socks for that
did.
picture.
Great socks.
We can see this. Okay, we got the socks. Good. I'm glad we got him in. So, anyways, he posted, obviously, the guitar that he won and a huge smile, and he gave us a shout out, so we want to return the favor. Thank you so much, Randy. Appreciate it. But now, how could you possibly win just like Randy? Well, every week we give away a free piece of gear to a lucky Fender Play subscriber simply for using Fender Play for a minimum of 21 minutes or 3 7-minute sessions. They're called streaks, right? So you get your 3 7-minute sessions within 1 week and you're automatically entered to win. And I might just call your name at the end of the episode. You can pick from guitars, amps, basses, bass amps, other paraphernalia related to those things. So are you guys ready to hear who won this week?
I believe we are. Okay,
all right.
John, give him the guitar drum.
Give me the guitar right there. Len C.
Way to go,
Len C.
Congratulations, Len. Enjoy your new bass guitar amp, whatever it is you choose. Back to you, Dylan.
Yeah, so new stuff on the site, guys. I don't know, there's a holiday coming up. You may have heard of it. That's Hallows Eve or Halloween, right? So we've got a Halloween collection on the site. So there's a bunch of great songs in there. I'll give you an example. So that's spooky, right?
Because
Classics 4.
Spooky, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that one's fantastic. That's on there. Also, you know what's really cool that's on there is I believe it's in the key of E, but it's the harmonic minor scale. We have an episode of that we did quite a while ago, and it's really it's
popular.
Scary. It's a very scary, popular episode.
John, I think you were the guest.
I think John may have been on there. That's right.
Now,
also though, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention perhaps one of the most important collections we've had come on Fender Play, in my humble opinion, and that's the Metal Riffs collection.
Now we're in your world.
We've got Cowboys from Hell, as I played earlier, but so you could do Crazy Train. We've got Breaking the Law. There's Laid to Rest, Doing Time. Everything has a really excellent. Cool. Yes, it's got an excellent thing. Push It by Static X. Now that we also have Push It. We have a different version of Push It. It's not that. It's the Static X version. So that's right. And then everything you need to be able to play.
Do we have the Salt and Pepper song on the site?
We have Salt and Pepper. Yeah, that's right.
Learn both of them.
So I think you should know both
of them. Life's too short, everybody.
That's right. Yeah. So check them out. 2 fantastic new collections, holiday themed.
There you go. Thank you so much, Dylan. Thank you for riffing along with us. And John, thank you for riffing on great riffs. We want to hear about what you have coming up in the future. Of course, again, you're a great instructor on our site, but tell us what else you have going on.
Yeah, so, you can check me out on YouTube as well, where we are now. Just go to youtube.com/Jon MacLennan. And then I've got a lot of great resources as well on my website, just jonmaclennan.com. And then, of course, I'll be seeing a lot of you in the videos on Fender Play. So I'll be there as well.
Perfectly done. Thank you so much for this episode, Jon. It was a lot of fun. And thank you for highlighting that riff collection we have. Like I said, there's riffs for people of every level. So we just wanted to kind of going to prime the pump a little bit. For everybody else out there, again, if you don't have your guitar in hand, get your keyboard. I say hit the caps lock and the G key. So we all go out on the count of 4. Keep safe, keep practicing. See you next week at the same time. Everybody go out on a G chord. 1, 2, 3, 4.